Hi all, welcome to BIIS Academy, Science and Technology Audio Notes for Prelims and Mains, Unit 3, Part 1, Chapter 5. Unit is Indian Space Program, Past, Present and Future, ISRO Satellites, Uses of Satellites in Health, Education, Communication, Weather Forecasting. The topics which we are going to cover are Thermal Band in Agriculture, Global Positioning System, Components of it and Applications of Global Positioning System, Indian Regional Navigational System or NAVIC or IRNSS. The next is GPS aided Geo Augmented Navigation, that is GAGAN. After that we'll see Rocket Development Program in India, and then we'll see PSLV, structure, development, components and launch of it. Next is GSLV, and finally we'll see GSLV Mark III and GSAT 29 mission. Okay, let's start with thermal band in agriculture. Thermal band is a bandwidth which uses intermediate and long wavelength infrared radiation in satellite imaging. Thermal band is a bandwidth using intermediate and long wavelength infrared radiation in satellite imaging. Okay, the satellite imagery, especially in the thermal bands, can play a significant role in agriculture, especially related to water harvest, consumption of agriculture. The infrared based thermal band is far effective in estimating accurately the water availability of a given region when compared to estimates made using shortwave bands. The thermal band in agriculture is potentially useful in shaping irrigation systems and distribution of water equally to all parts of any geographical region based on the requirement. Okay, the thermal band imagery of American satellite Landsat. What is a satellite? Landsat. It is an American satellite. Assumed great significance in the establishment of water rights in different parts of USA. Okay, it plays a significant role in the establishment of water rights in different parts of USA. Okay, the thermal band imageries of Landsat helped in mapping soil moisture, water consumption, water stress, and thereby helped in designing the water projects of agriculture. The thermal band imaging of Landsat had helped the World Bank successfully manage water projects in China, Mexico, Yemen, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. The unsustainable water harvesting and lack of proper data on water resources, irregular distribution of water, political interference in water sharing are the major obstacles in India to plan sustainable water projects. So we have seen what is a thermal band. Thermal band is a bandwidth uses intermediate and long wavelength infrared radiation in satellite imaging. Okay, it plays a significant role in agriculture, especially related to water harvest, consumption and availability of water. It can accurately estimate the water availability of any given region when compared to shortwave bands. Okay, and after that we have seen the American satellite Landsat and its contribution. It played a significant role in establishment of water rights in USA. The thermal band imagery of American satellite Landsat assumed great significance regarding water rights in different parts of USA. It helped in mapping soil moisture, water consumption, water stress, and thereby helped in designing the water policies or the water projects of agriculture. Apart from this, the thermal band imaging of Landsat also helped World Bank successfully manage water projects in China, Mexico, Yemen, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Okay. Now let's look at next topic, Global Positioning System, major components of GPS and applications of GPS in various fields of human life. The Global Positioning System or GPS is a satellite based precise positioning and navigational tool. Okay, it was first invented by the Department of Defense, USA in 1973 with the objective of assisting military vehicles and soldiers by satellite navigation. Later, this navigation system was expanded to various areas beyond original necessity. The American GPS is the first full-fledged satellite navigation of the world. It became so famous that today any type of satellite based navigation is called GPS. Many other countries are also developing GPS include GLONASS, GLONASS, that is Global Navigational Satellite System of Russia. Second one is Galileo, GALILEO of EU, European nations, European Union. Next is Baidu, BEIDOU navigation system of China, as well as Quasi Zenith system of Japan. I'll spell Quasi Zenith. It's QUASIZENITH. It's from Japan. India also developed its own regional navigation system. It is called Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. In short, IRNSS. Okay. Indian Prime Minister gave the name NAVIC for the IRNSS. What does NAVIC mean? Navigation with Indian constellation. So if they ask a question regarding IRNSS or NAVIC, it is the same. What is IRNSS? Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. What is NAVIC? Navigation with Indian constellation. Okay. There are three components for GPS. One is space segment, user segment, ground segment. Okay. What is space segment? The space segment of GPS consists of satellites orbiting mostly in 12-hour Earth orbits. For example, the American GPS consists of 24 satellites in 6 orbital planes, in such a way that 4 satellites appear in each orbit. As a result, American GPS covers almost all parts of the Earth. Okay, American GPS consists of 24. Then how many satellites does IRNSS of ISRO has? 7 satellites. 3 in geostationary orbit, 2 satellites each in geosynchronous orbits. So 3 in geostationary, 2 in geosynchronous plus 2 in geosynchronous. Total 7 satellites. Okay, that is space segment. Then how do we get to the user then? Yeah, the second one is user segment. The use of segment can be human or vehicle like car, train, airplane, and even a ship. The user segment should have a GPS receiver which signals can be sent to and can be received from the satellite. These days everybody uses this one. What is that? Google Maps, right? It gives you directions. That is the user segment. Similar tools are there for cars, trains, airplanes as well, and ships as well. The third segment is ground segment. The ground segment includes large antennas that can send and receive information from the satellites. Okay, the information collected by ground segment will be collected by the data centers. The data center receives the information, analyzes, and accordingly sorts the information into different categories. Okay. We have seen GPS and 3 components of the GPS, and the Indian GPS is called IRNSS, that is Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, or the name given by Prime Minister is NAVIC, NAVIC, which abbreviates as Navigation with Indian Constellation. So applications of GPS. GPS helps in providing standard positioning services which enable any individual to know the exact position at any given point of time. So you can know the exact point of time, exact position at any given point of time through the GPS. Satellite based navigation can even help us to set the target before reaching it. As a result, one can move very freely even in a new place and reach the target with the guidance of the satellite. This type of navigation is very important for regular monitoring of ships, planes, cargo ships, etc., which require immediate assistance in the event of any disaster. GPS also plays a major role in identifying traffic free areas during medical emergencies. Today, GPS is used for collecting information from many unmanned automatic weather stations as well as automatic seismic centers, which are established in highly remote and inaccessible areas like Arctic, Antarctic regions. What is seismology? Seismology is study of earthquakes. Right. The GPS satellites help us in tracking thousands of unmanned seismic centers established throughout the country. Such information collected by satellites is processed through the data centers to study any abnormal changes in overall seismic activity in the world. Emergency beacons can be sent to the GPS satellite from airplane and ships, which is processed immediately, and search and rescue teams are sent. Okay. Tracking the wildlife becomes easy with GPS. One can regularly monitor the movement of wildlife animals and also assess their population levels. Wildlife conflict can also be reduced well before and prevent the attack of human settlements. GPS also supports many outdoor activities like mountaineering, skiing, boating, parachuting, so that they can also be given search and rescue operations at the time of emergency. GPS based navigation is very important, better, and to have a safe civil aviation as well. GPS can also be used for tractor guidance, which is going to play a major role in carrying out agriculture without human intervention. Right. So now let's go to the next topic, Indian Regional Navigational Satellite System, or NAVIC. So we will discuss in detail what is this Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, or NAVIC. What is NAVIC? Abbreviated? Type in the comments below what is NAVIC. Okay. IRNSS is a constellation of 7 satellites launched by ISRO to provide GPS services throughout the country. IRNSS even provides the navigational services up to 1500 kilometers. How many kilometers? 1500 kilometers from the mainland border of the country. So from our border, this services can be availed till a distance of 1500 kilometers. The Prime Minister of India rechristened IRNSS as NAVIC, Navigation with Indian Constellation. What is the Sanskrit meaning of the word NAVIC? It means sailor. SAILOR, sailor. NAVIC has a total of 7 satellites, 4 of which were launched in the geosynchronous orbits, and the remaining 3 were launched in geostationary orbits. So earlier we have discussed the difference between geostationary and geosynchronous orbits. So please check the earlier videos if you have any doubt regarding the geosynchronous and geostationary orbit. Okay. Geostationary orbit is stationary from the ground point of view, and it is in parallel or in parallel with our equator, whereas geosynchronous moves in oblique orbits. Both are visible from Earth. Not visible, both can be seen at a similar position using tools. Okay. NAVIC has a total of 7 satellites, 4 of which are launched in geosynchronous and 3 are launched in geostationary. Imagine the Earth and see the geostationary orbit and see 3 satellites, and imagine geosynchronous orbit and see 4 satellites. Okay. The first IRNS satellite, IRNNS-1A, was launched into geosynchronous orbit in July 1st, 2013 using PSLV C-22. Similarly, IRNSS-1B, 1D, 1E were also launched into geosynchronous orbits. So we have said there are 4 satellites in geosynchronous. What are they? IRNSS-1A, right? 1B, 1C? No, there is no 1C. 1A, 1B, 1D and 1E are the 4 satellites in geosynchronous orbits. Okay. IRSS 1C, 1F, 1G were launched in geostationary orbits. What are the satellites that launched in geostationary orbits? IRNNS, 1C, 1F, 1G. 1C, 1F, 1G are the satellites launched in geostationary orbit. Okay. IRNNS 1A satellite stopped working after a technical problem in its rubidium atomic clocks. Okay. The IRNSS 1H on 31st August 2017 on board PSLV C-39 is placed in the place of IRNS 1A. Okay. ISRO successfully launched IRNSS 11 on April 12th, 2018 using PSLV C-41. What is this IRNSS 11 to? It's the 8th navigational satellite to join the IRNSS space segment. So instead of 1A, it has been replaced with 11. Right. The satellite, each satellite weighs around 1425 kgs and has mainly payloads on it. Two payloads, most of it. The first payload is ranging payload, second payload is navigational payload. Ranging payload determines the range of the satellite, which is the area of the earth in which it can provide GPS services. So you understand the range? Range is the area of the earth in which the satellite can provide the GPS service. So this is the first payload each satellite has, and the second payload each satellite has is navigational payload. This payload actually provides the navigational and standard positioning services. This payload has two rubidium atomic clocks which can measure time more accurately. So the rubidium atomic clock failed in 1A, so it was replaced by 11 IRNSS 11 satellite. Okay, the IRNSS of India has a navigational accuracy better than 20 meters. Important, remember for your prelims, it has an accuracy better than 20 meters. How many meters? 20 meters. What is it? It's a navigational accuracy better than 20 meters. Okay. The continuous dependency on foreign satellites for navigational services may endanger India's security, as the sensitive military information can be illegally obtained by spies and others. Hence, the development of indigenous navigation system like NAVIC will help us provide secure navigational and standard positioning services throughout the country. Okay. Let's go to the next topic. It is Gagan. What is Gagan? GPS aided geo augmented navigation. So we'll discuss the launch and uses of Gagan. GPS aided geo augmented navigation is a satellite based augmentation system for civil aviation jointly developed by Airports Authority of India and ISRO for the Indian aerospace. The objective of Gagan is to establish, deploy and certify satellite based augmentation system for safety of live civil aviation applications in India. The system is interoperable with other international SBAs. What is SBAs? Satellite based augmentation system. It is interoperable with international SBA systems like US WASS, European EGNOS and Japanese MSAS and etc. Okay. Gagan Geo footprint extends from Africa to Australia and has an expansion capability for seamless navigation services across the region. Gagan provides additional accuracy, availability and integrity necessary for all phases of flight, from en route through approach for all the qualified airports within the Gagan service volume. Gagan payload is already operational through GSAT 8 and GSAT 10 satellites. The third Gagan payload was launched on board GSAT 15 satellite on 10th November 2015. Gagan is the first SBAS. SBAS means Satellite Based Augmentation System in the world to serve the equatorial region. I'll repeat, remember this, Gagan is the first SBAS system in the world to serve the equatorial region. Gagan isospheric algorithm known as ISRO GIF multi-model layer data fusion was developed by ISRO and is operational in the implemented Gagan system. India has become the third country in the world to have such precision approach. Gagan, though primarily meant for aviation, will provide benefits beyond aviation to many other user segments such as intelligent transportation, maritime, highways, railways, surveying, security agencies, telecom industry, personal users of position location applications. So now let's look at the next topic, rocket development program in India. Okay. The development of launch vehicles required expertise in many branches of science, engineering, sophisticated infrastructure, and innovative management techniques. Even today, only a few countries possess the technology of launch vehicle. What is launch vehicle? Which puts the satellite in the orbit or helps in the trajectory. That is nothing but a rocket. Okay. The subsystems in a launch vehicle should withstand hostile flight environment, should be cost effective, lightweight, and should be developed within a reasonable time frame. Years of developmental efforts are put to test in a few minutes of time, requiring performances with practically no margin for error. So we might have seen all the scientists and the government of India, budget and other people come together, work for years and test it. Sometimes the experiment fails. Everything is gone in a short span. In seconds, your effort is lost. So that is how the rocket development program. So it should have no margin for error. It cannot accommodate any errors. So in India, the rocket development program began with the establishment of Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. Thumba is near Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. Thumba, Thumba. What did the ISRO establish? Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launch Station. Okay, in short, it is called TERLS in 1963. Okay, India's first sounding rocket was a small 75 mm diameter Rohini, that is called RH-75. What is the size of it? Diameter of it? 75 mm diameter. Rohini is the first sounding rocket. Okay, to achieve a successful operational class of launch vehicles, ISRO first developed launch vehicles, that is SLV-3 and ASLV-3. Is sounding rocket launch vehicle? No. Sounding rockets are not launch vehicles. Sounding rockets don't have the capacity to launch a satellite. They can be used to study the atmosphere. So it was the first stage, it was the earliest stage before the launch vehicles. So ISRO has developed SLV and ASLV. Okay. The modern rocket development in India started in the year 1969. ISRO developed two experimental rockets, that is SLV-3 satellite launch vehicle and ASLV launch vehicle. ASLV means augmented satellite launch vehicle. The SLV-3 rocket had been designed as a 4-stage rocket weighing 17 tons at liftoff and measured 22 meter tall. Okay. The first launch of SLV-3 on August 10, 1979 was a failure. Later, the second launch of SLV-3 carried out in 1980 was successful. The second launch of SLV in 1980 was successful. Okay. SLV-3 was again successful. It launched in 1981 and 1983. Okay. Development of SLV-3 helped ISRO in gaining expertise in various areas of rocket designing. So then we'll see the ASLV. What is ASLV? Augmented satellite launch vehicle. After SLV-3, ISRO developed another experimental rocket called ASLV with an objective of developing operational class of rockets. ASLV was developed as a 5-stage rocket using solid propellant in all stages. So ASLV is a 5-stage rocket which uses solid propellant in all its stages. It measures 23.8 meters. It is taller than 1.8 meters taller than the SLV-3 and weighed around 40 tons at the liftoff. Okay. The first development and launch of ASLV conducted in 1987 was a failure. Even here, the first launch was a failure. Okay. Similarly, the second development launch ASLV also ended in a failure. Later, ISRO corrected the reasons for these failures and launched ASLV D3 and D4 successfully in 1992 and 1994. What does it mean? You should never think of a failure as a failure. Failure is an opportunity to learn and to perform better. Right? Taking that spirit, ISRO designed our own launch vehicles, that is SLV-3 and ASLV D3 and D4. Okay. So what is the first rocket India has launched? First sounding rocket? It is a 75 mm diameter Rohini RH-75. Rocket development started with the establishment of Thumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station near Thiruvananthapuram in 1963. Right? After that, India launched developed SLV-3. It is designed as a 4-stage rocket which weighs around 17 tons and measured around 23 meter tall. So it was success first, it was a failure in 1979, later it was successful in 1980. After that it had successful launches in 1981 and 83 as well. So SLV-3 helped ISRO in gaining expertise in various areas of rocket designing. After that, India developed ASLV, that is Augmented Satellite Launch Vehicle. So the first launch and the second launch were a failure, but ISRO was successful in 1992 and 1994 by launching ASLV D3 and D4. It is a 5-stage rocket using solid propellant in all stages. Okay, now let's look at PSLV. We'll look at the structure, configurations, development and launch of PSLV. What is PSLV? Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. What is PSLV? Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is the first operational rocket of India developed by ISRO. Remember, it is the first operational rocket developed by ISRO. ISRO started the PSLV program in 1982. PSLV was developed as a 4-stage vehicle with alternate solid and liquid stages. The first operational PSLV, that is PSLV C1, is considered as a model PSLV, which is also called the generic version. Such a generic version of PSLV weighs around 294 tons at liftoff and measures 44 meter talls. Okay, the first stage of PSLV uses hydroxy terminated polybutadiene. This is used as a solid propellant, and ammonium perchlorate as an oxidizer. The first stage of PSLV is surrounded by 6 strap-on booster motors. The second stage of PSLV is called Vikas engine and is designed based on the Viking engine of France. This stage uses UDMH, that is unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine, as a liquid propellant and nitrogen tetroxide as an oxidizer. The third stage of PSLV is again based on HTPB and ammonium perchlorate. The fourth stage is a liquid stage and uses MMH, monomethyl hydrazine, as a liquid propellant in a mixture of nitrogen oxides as an oxidizer. The first stage is a solid propellant, right? Okay, second stage is a liquid propellant. Third stage, what is it? Solid propellant, right? Fourth stage, liquid propellant. Okay. ISRO developed PSLV with the objective of launching satellites into polar orbit. We have earlier discussed what is a polar orbit, but ISRO also used PSLV for launching satellites in both geosynchronous and geostationary as well. Okay. ISRO developed 3 configurations of PSLV. Okay. What are they? PSLV, PSLV CA, PSLV XL, PSLV DL and QL. As we discussed, PSLV generic is the generic version. It has 6 strap-on booster motors around the first stage and weighs around 294 tons at liftoff. PSLV CA, CA means core alone configuration. This is PSLV core alone configuration. The first stage is devoid of 6 strap-on motors and weighs around 230 tons at liftoff. Next configuration is PSLV XL. This is a heavier version of PSLV. It has 6 extended strap-on booster motors around the first stage. This weighs around 320 tons at liftoff. The next is PSLV DL and QL with 2 and 4 strap-on motors respectively. PSLV launches. Let's look at the launch of PSLV. Okay, the first developmental launch of PSLV, that is D1, PSLV D1 was carried out on September 20th, 1993. The launch was a failure. Later, the second development PSLV D2 carried out on 15th October 1994 was successful. Similarly, ISRO carried out the third development launch successful in 1994. The first operational launch of PSLV C1 was conducted in 1994 and it successfully introduced IRS-1D satellite into the targeted orbit. What is IRS? Indian Regional Satellite. Later, ISRO carried out many successful launches. The first development launch was BSLV D1, and the PSLV C-39 launch conducted on 2017 were the only two failures. Okay, the recent launch of PSLV C-46 has successfully launched RESAT 2B in 2019, when May 22nd. In total, ISRO carried on 48 PSLV launches with 46 successful launches and only 2 failures. Okay, ISRO has carried out 48 PSLV launches, out of which 46 are successful. ISRO had recently planned and is conceiving a new variant of PSLV, which is a 3-stage vehicle, that is PSLV 3S. The variant of PSLV is devoid of second stage as well as 6 strap-on motors. It may be around 175 tons at the liftoff. It can be used to launch satellites up to 500 kilograms in and around 550 kilometer low Earth orbit. Okay, so let's recap this. PSLV was started. It's a polar satellite launch vehicle. It's the first operational rocket of India developed by ISRO. This program started in the year 1982. PSLV C1 is considered to be the first operational operational launch vehicle. It's not satellite. It has 4 stages. First stage is solid, second stage is liquid, third stage is solid, and the fourth stage is liquid. So there are different configurations. That the basic one is called generic, PSLV generic, and then we have PSLV CA. CA is core alone. It does not have motors on it, stick motors on it. And XL has the motors on it, and PSLV DL and QL have 2 and 4 strap-on motors on it. Okay, after that we have seen the launch of PSLV. First launch was a failure in 1993. Second launch was successful, yes, in 1994. Okay, now PSLV is planning to launch 3-stage vehicle, that is PSLV 3S. So it will be devoid of this. It will have only 3 stages, which is devoid of the second stage, that is, which it will not have the motors on it. So there will be a reduction in the weight. So it will be around only 175 tons. It can lift up to satellites up to 500 kgs and place them at 550 kilometers from low Earth orbit. Okay, now let's look at GSLV, that is Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. Right. We'll study the structure, configuration, development, and launch of GSLV. ISRO developed GSLV with the objective of launching satellites into geostationary and geosynchronous orbits. Hence, GSLV is called Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. Okay, ISRO started this program in the year 1990. GSLV has 3-stage vehicle and weighs around 409 tons, that is around 400 tons at liftoff. It measures 49 meter tall, so you can remember as 50 approximately. The first stage of GSLV uses HTPB as a solid propellant and ammonium perchlorate as an oxidizer. The first stage of GSLV has 4 strap-on boost motors around it. The second stage PSLV uses UDMH liquid propellant and nitrogen tetroxide as oxidizer. The third stage of GSLV is cryogenic stage. The third stage of GSLV and uses liquid hydrogen, which is at minus 253 degrees Celsius. What is the temperature of liquid hydrogen? Minus 253 degrees Celsius. This liquid hydrogen is used as a propellant, and liquid oxygen, that is LOX, is stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius as an oxidizer. So third stage of GSLV is a cryogenic stage. The first development and launch of GSLV, that is GSLV D1, was conducted in 2001. This launch successfully introduced GSAT-1 into the orbit. ISRO conducted another developmental launch, GSLV D2, in 2003, and it was also successful. The first operational launch of GSLV, that is GSLV F1, was conducted successfully on September 28, 2004, which introduced EduSat satellite into geostationary orbit. So EduSat satellite is a geostationary satellite. Okay. Till today, ISRO carried out 12 GSLV launches, of which 3 were failure. The notable launches of GSLV in the recent times include GSLV F5 that launched INSAT 3D in 2016 and GSLV F9 which launched GSAT 9. That is, what is GSAT 9? South Asia satellite, right? Earlier it was called SARC satellite. So GSLV F9 launched GSAT 9 which is a South Asia satellite in 2017. Okay, the launch of GSLV is, the last launch was GSLV which launched GSAT 6A using GSLV F8 on March 2018. In addition, ISRO launched GSLV Mark III D1 on 5th June 2017 which successfully introduced GSAT 19 satellites into the orbit. ISRO also successfully launched GSAT Mark III D2 14th October 2018 which put GSAT 29 into the orbit. Okay. ISRO successfully launched the first operational GSLV Mark III, that is, some of you might be knowing it, it is M1 Chandrayaan 2. ISRO successfully launched the first operational launch vehicle of GSLV Mark III M1 for Chandrayaan 2. Okay, ISRO has developed three variants of GSLV, that is GSLV Mark 1, GSLV Mark 2, GSLV Mark 3. Okay, let's see what are this GSLV Mark 1, Mark 2 and Mark 3. Mark 1 is the first generation GSLV. What is GSLV? Geosynchronous launch vehicle. It is used to put satellites or place satellites in geostationary and geosynchronous orbits. Okay, GSLV Mark 1 is the first generation GSLV and has an ability to launch 1500 kg satellites into geostationary orbit. It has a foreign cryogenic engine and in its third stage obtained from Russia. Okay, what is GSLV Mark II then? It is a second generation GSLV and uses indigenous cryogenic engine in its third stage. It is capable of launching how much? 2500 kg satellites into geostationary orbit. Difference is it can lift heavier satellites, that is around 2500, and the cryogenic engine was indigenously developed in our country. The next is GSLV Mark III. It's the third generation GSLV developed indigenously by ISRO. This is a heavier variant of GSLV weighing around 630 tons and measures around 42 meters tall. Okay. Now let's look at the development features, launches of GSLV Mark III. GSLV Mark III is a third generation GSLV developed indigenously by ISRO, right? This is a heavier variant of GSLV and weighing around 630 tons but is shorter than the first two variants. Measures around height is 42.4 meters tall. This is having a higher payload capability when compared to the earlier two generations. So GSLV Mark III has a higher payload capability when compared to the Mark 1 and Mark 2. It can launch satellites up to a weight of 4,500 kilograms. Remember this, very important. It can launch satellites up to a weight of 4,500 kilometers. It can launch satellites up to a weight of 4,500 kilograms, 4,500 kilograms. Mark 1, it can launch a satellite up to a weight of 1500 kilograms. Mark 2, 2500 kilograms. Mark 3, 4500 kilograms. The first stage of GSLV Mark 3 consists of two solid motors. Okay. The second stage is a liquid stage. Okay. The third stage is the cryogenic upper stage and powered by CE20 engine. Cryogenic stage uses liquid hydrogen, which is at minus 253 degrees Celsius, and liquid oxygen, which is at minus 196 degrees Celsius as an oxidizer. The first test of GSLV Mark III was carried out in 18 December 2014 in suborbitable using the first two stages. The first development launch of GSLV Mark III, that is Mark III D1, was successfully carried out on June 5th, 2017 when it launched GSAT 19 satellite. Okay, GSLV Mark III D1 was successful when it carried out the launch of GSAT 19 satellite. With this launch, ISRO became capable of carrying heavy payload on the lines of Falcon 9 and Delta IV rockets. Okay, these are USA satellites, Falcon 9 USA launch vehicles, Falcon 9 and Delta IV. ISRO successfully launched GSLV Mark III D2 in 2018, which put GSAT-29 into the orbit. Okay. So let's discuss briefly, about the launch of GSAT-29 mission of ISRO. The second developmental flight of GSLV Mark III in 2018 from Satish Dhawan Space Center, that is at Sriharikota. GSLV Mark III D2 successfully deployed GSAT-29 satellite, a high throughput communication satellite. It is a communication satellite, GSAT-29. GSAT Mark III D2 is a three-stage vehicle with two solid strap-on motors, liquid propellant core stage and a cryogenic stage, which is capable of launching 4-ton class of satellites into the geosynchronous transfer orbits. What is geosynchronous transfer orbit? It's GTO. Okay, GSAT-29 satellite had a lift-off mass of 3,423 kg. It is a multi-beam, multi-band communication satellite of India. Configured around the ISRO's enhanced 13K bus. This is the heaviest satellite launched from India. The heaviest satellite launched from India is GSAT-29. GSAT-29 is a communication satellite which is launched by GSLV Mark III D1. Right, excellent. GSAT-29 carries Ka and Ku band and communication transponders, which will bridge the digital divide of users, including those in Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern regions of India. So GSAT-29 is a communication satellite which has Ku and Ku bands, which has communication transponders that will bridge the digital divide gap in our country. It also carries Q or V band payload configured for technology demonstration at higher frequency bands and geostationary high resolution camera as well. An optical communication payload for the first time will be utilized for data transmissions. This success makes ISRO to fiercely compete in global satellite launch market. The Chandrayaan-2 mission was also launched by GSLV Mark III M1. Gaganyaan human space satellite scheduled for 2022 will also use GSLV Mark III. Okay, brilliant. So let's recap the entire class. We have started with thermal band in agriculture. What is a thermal band? It's a bandwidth which uses intermediate and long wavelength infrared radiation. Simply put, it uses infrared radiation which is a long wavelength and which is at intermediate for satellite imaging. Right. So it is useful in agriculture for mapping soil moisture, water consumption, water stress. World Bank used it in managing water projects in China, Mexico, Yemen, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. So the thermal band imagery of American satellite, which is Landsat, assumed great significance in the establishment of water rights in different parts of USA using thermal band of Landsat. Nice. After that, we have seen global positioning system, GPS, applications of it in human various. Okay, when was the GPS based system started? Okay, let's start with what is it used for. Global positioning system is a satellite based precise positioning and a navigational tool. GPS is a satellite based precise positioning and navigational tool. Remember, precise positioning and navigational tool, right? It was developed by Department of Defense, USA in 1973 for military purposes, for assisting military vehicles and soldiers by satellite navigation. And then all other countries have a similar GPS, which is GLONASS of Russia, Galileo of Europe, EU, that is European Union, Baidu of China, Quasi Zenith of Japan, and India has its own one, it is called IRNSS, that is Indian Regional Navigation System, or NAVIC, navigation with Indian constellation. The GPS has three components: space segment, ground segment, user segment. Space segment consists of satellites which orbit the Earth. For example, American GPS has 24 satellites, of which 6 are in orbital planes and 4 appear in each orbit. Okay. ISRO IRNSS has 7 satellites, 3 in geostationary, 4 in geosynchronous. Okay, the ground segment, which includes large antennas that can send and receive information from the satellite. After that, we have user segment. User segment can be human or vehicles like car, train, aeroplane, and even a ship. The user segment should have a GPS receiver with which signals can be sent to and can be received from the satellite. Okay, and then we have seen the applications of GPS. They're used in identifying traffic-free areas, identifying seismic zones. Thousands of unmanned seismic centers were established to track the seismic activity as well. Okay, you can set the target before reaching it, right? This navigation they are useful in navigation of ships, planes, cargo ships, I mean. Okay. It also is useful in mountaineering, skiing, boating, parachuting, so that they can help in rescue and search operations if they are lost. It is also useful in civil aviation as well. And it can be helpful in future for carrying out unmanned agriculture as well. Okay, after that we have seen Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System or NAVIC. Okay, it covers up to 1500 kilometers from the main land borders of the country. Okay, what is the Sanskrit meaning of NAVIC? It is sailor. NAVIC has 7 satellites, 4 in geosynchronous, right? 3 in geostationary orbit. The IRNS satellite 1A was launched. Okay, what are the satellites in geosynchronous? It's IRNS is 1A, right? 1B, 1D, 1E. Yes, and the satellites in geosynchronous orbit are same question. IRNS 1A, 1B, 1D, 1E. Okay, 3 satellites are in geostationary orbit. Those are 1C, 1F, 1G. Okay. What do they have? They have rubidium clocks. IRS 1A was replaced by IRNSS 11 because IRSS 1A had a technical problem because the rubidium atomic clock stopped functioning. Okay. What are the payloads in these satellites? They have 2 payloads. One is ranging payload, another one is navigational payload. Okay, ranging payload is, it determines the range of the satellite which is the area of the earth in which it can provide the services. And navigational payload, the payload actually provides the navigational and standard positioning services. This has rubidium atomic clocks which can measure the time more accurately. What is the average weight of these satellites? 1425 kg. And what is the accuracy? Nearly 20 meters, right? This, right, good. And then we have seen Gagan, that is GPS aided augmented navigation. GPS aided geo augmented navigation is a satellite based augmented system which is used for civil aviation, jointly developed by Airports Authority of India and ISRO for Indian airspace. The objective of Gagan is to establish, deploy and certify satellites based augmentation system for safety of lives in civil aviation. It is interoperable with other country SBAS as well. What is SBAS? Satellite based augmentation system. Gagan is the first SBAS system in the world to serve equatorial region. Gagan is primarily meant for aviation. It also provides benefits beyond aviation such as intelligent transportation, maritime, highways, railways, surveying, security agencies, telecom industry, personal uses of position, location and applications. And then we have seen rocket development. We have discussed about SLV, ASLV, and next we have discussed about PSLV launch vehicle, that is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It was started in 1982. It has 4-stage launch vehicle. The first operational launch vehicle was PSLV C1, and the different components PSLV CA, PSLV XL, PSLV DL and QL. And then finally ISRO has planned of conceiving a PSLV 3S. It's a 3-stage vehicle. It's mainly used to launch satellites in polar orbits, but India has used them to launch geosynchronous and geostationary launch satellites as well. Later, India has developed GSLVs. Its objective is to launch satellites into geostationary and geosynchronous orbits. They use cryogenic engines, 3-stage, right? What is the liquid used? It is liquid hydrogen, which is at minus 253 degrees Celsius as a propellant, and a liquid oxygen, which is stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius, is used as an oxidizer. They have placed satellites like EduSat, InSat 3D, GSat 9, GSat 29. Right, and finally we have discussed about GSAT. GSLV has 3 variants in it: GSLV Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. Mark 1 has a launch ability of lifting off 1500 kg satellite, Mark 2 2500 kg satellite liftoff, and GSLV Mark 3 4500 kg launch. And then finally we have seen GSAT 29 mission. GSAT 29 satellite has what is GSAT 29? It's a communication satellite. Okay, had a lift off. It weighs around 3,400 kgs. It has multi-beam, multi-band communication satellite, which is it's the heaviest satellite till date. It carries Ka and Ku bands, so that it helps in bridging the digital divide. Okay, the success of these satellites makes ISRO fiercely compete in global satellite launch market. So Chandrayaan 2 mission was also launched by GSLV Mark 3 M1, and Gaganyaan, the human space flight, which is scheduled in the year 2022, will also use GSLV Mark 3. Okay, with this we'll conclude our class today. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day.